welcome to day one of PMI Construction Professional Exam Preparation course. So let's start. I hope you could see my screen. In the first part of our discussion, I'll be talking about introduction to the PMI-CP exam, right? So I hope you all can see my screen and whatever I'm writing is visible to you, right? Introduction to PMI-CP exam. Okay. For PMI-CP exam, this exam is administered by Project Management Institute, right? And let's start first with the eligibility criteria for this exam. Okay. Anyone who would like to talk about it? What's the eligibility criteria for this exam? Anyone, please? Yeah.
We done the PMP. So I think same. Maybe I think the PMI-CP 3 years experience, working
Yeah,
experience.
absolutely. Absolutely. Almost similar. So minimum 3 years of professional experience in construction projects, right? So 3 years of experience in construction projects, right? And that experience must be within the past 10 years. And then you need to complete 4 courses training, 4 PMI modules. So that's the minimum eligibility criteria for this exam. Okay. So if I talk about exam itself, exam format, so it's a single exam. You can take the exam online at home or at the exam center. And in total, there would be 120 questions. 120 questions. And in order to respond to those 120 questions, right, you will be having 230 minutes. Right? 120 questions and 230 minutes. And the language of exam would be English language. Okay. If I talk about passing criteria for this exam, so PMI officially, they do not disclose it, but based on my experience and experience of hundreds of students who have taken the exam, it's roughly 70%. 70%, and there is no negative marking. You understand, everybody? No negative marking in the exam. Okay. So exam process is very simple. Once we complete those 4 modules, what we do is so let me write step number 1. So your step 1 is complete 4 PMI-CP modules, right? It's super easy to get access to those. You need to visit www.pmi.org, right? And you can write PMI-CP and you'll see 4 modules. For example, first for contracts, second for interface management, third for scope and change orders, and fourth for communication and stakeholders. So it's better if you become PMI member first. So become PMI member, purchase these 4 courses. Roughly for members, I think the cost of these 4 courses is around $345, I guess. Right? And membership is 109. So become member first. Once you become member, then you can buy these 4 courses. Once you complete these courses, right, then you will be moving to step number 2. You can submit your PMI Construction Professional application. It's very easy, right? It's better to get your application reviewed. So just drop your application on my email ID. Right? I'll review that and then you can submit it. Okay. PMI takes 5 to 7 business days to review your application. 5 to 7 business days to review your application. Okay. Once the application is reviewed and approved, right, then you can take the exam. And as I mentioned, you can take exam online at home, or you can take exam at the exam center. If you have a strong internet and there is no disruption at your home or workplace, you can take for online exam. Otherwise, you can go for center-based exams. Center-based exams are safer, as if anything goes wrong, center would be responsible for that. Okay. And once you complete the test, you will see your score, you will see your result immediately, and the certification remains valid for 3 years. During those 3 years, you need to renew your certification, and renewal procedure is you need to earn professional development units. Mean any activity that you do that contributes to your professional development, that is considered as a PDU. So this is how it works, right? So that's overall basic understanding of the exam. Now, if you have any question regarding exam or anything, exam process, questions, please feel free to ask. Any question, please. Anyone, please, any question? Okay, types of questions. In the exam, you'll see 2 to 3 different types of questions. Primarily multiple choice questions, right? Multiple choice questions, MCQs. And in MCQs, you'll see a scenario-based statement. Length varies from 1 to 6 lines. Those who have taken the PMP exam, one of the differences in this exam is that the statement would be very long as compared to you'll see statement in the PMP. So it will be having 4 options and you need to pick one, the most suitable option. This is your multiple choice questions where you have to pick one option. You'll also see questions where you need to pick more than one option. So sometimes it say pick 2, sometimes it say pick 3. So you can see either 5 options or 6 options, right? So this is second category of questions that you will be having in this exam. Okay, the third category in this exam that you will see is that is called drag and drop. So first is multiple choice question where you have to pick one option. Second, multiple choice question where you need to pick more than one option. And third is drag and drop. So you will see options here on one side, right? Something like that. And you need to match these with keywords or statements on the other side. So this is drag and drop, right? Something like this. So these are 3 different categories of the questions that you will see in the exam. If I compare it with PMP exam, this exam is slightly challenging. Some of the things which make this exam challenging are, one, lengthy statements, right? Second thing is this exam is highly theoretical, right? PMP is more like the mindset, right? And based on your experience, you're able to answer the question. But here in this exam, you need to go through a lot of theory. So it's highly theoretical. And you need to read between the lines to understand those concepts and to remember them. So third thing is memorization, really important. Memorization. So it's not entirely concept-oriented exam, right? You need to memorize certain numbers, processes, and steps and sequences. So these are the things which make, and also this is a new certification, so there's not a lot of material, right? So there are only a few instructors. You don't have good quality questions. You don't have reading material. So that's why this exam is slightly challenging as compared to PMP exam. I have seen a lot of students failing the exam on their first attempt. So that's why preparing for this exam with, you know, with 100% surety that you're going to pass the exam is really, really important. Okay. If I talk about what we are going to discuss in this exam or in this course, it's based on the exam content outline. So all PMI exams, they have a specific document titled ECO. You can download this document from the internet. So exam content outline, ECO. So let me just show you how that ECO looks like. Just a second. Let me just share with you. And once I share my screen, please let me know if you're able to see my screen. So let me switch to another screen. Please confirm, are you able to see my screen, everybody? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is PMI-CP exam content outline. So this is the document, reference document that will govern the overall exam. So this is PMI-CP exam content outline published in February 2024. You can easily download this from pmi.org or write on any browser PMI-CP content, exam content outline. Okay, if I go down, so you can see these are the main sections of your exam. 50% of your exam would be contracts management. 30% would be stakeholders engagement, right? And 15% would be stakeholders and scope management, and 5% is governance, right? So please remember this, half of your exam would be contracts management. So we have 4 different topics that we are going to cover in this lesson, right? And those are same as e-learning 4 modules. 4 modules. So first we will be talking about contracts and risk management. This would be our topic number 1, which is going to cover 50% of your exam, right? Then we will be talking about scope and change order management. Scope and change order management is going to cover roughly 15% of your exam, right? Then we will be talking about interface management. Interface is again a part of communication. And then we will be discussing communications. communications management. And within communication, there's a subtopic that is called governance, right? So collectively, these two topics, they will be making your stakeholders engagement. And what's percentage of stakeholder engagement? It's 30%. And 5% of your exam is this. You understand, everybody? Now let me match this with the domains in the exam content outline. You understand, everybody? So in the exam, we will be having 4 different domains: contracts, stakeholders, scope, and governance. You understand, everybody? So first topic is contracts and risk management, which is 50%. Scope and change order, that would be second topic we will be covering. Third topic would be interface management. Fourth topic would be communication. And within communication, we have a small topic that is governance. So these two topics, interface and communication, are called stakeholder engagement, which is 30% of the exam and 5%. So this is how we will be covering 100% of the course content. You understand, everybody? Any
Yes,
question about the how we will be covering content in the course? Okay, now next. You might have seen 15 days exam prep strategy, right? Let me just show you 15 days exam prep strategy. So it's very, focused. Let me just show you first, and then we will be talking about it. Meanwhile, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Don't hesitate, right? I'll be happily answering all of your questions.
Sir, I have one question from, this is not the right time as we are discussing the contracts and the risk management. So I was searching through the browser
Yeah.
to get to know about the interface management. So it was giving me the text like when someone is dealing with the design phase and then execution phase. So all the overlapping activities between them is called interface management. Secondly, it was saying that like we have the stakeholder, different stakeholder from our internal stakeholder, external stakeholder. So if you are coordinating with them, so it is also called interface management. So can you briefly tell me, what specifically is, because to me this word is new, because I have not heard about this word even in a PMP or any other social media or any educational media. So this is totally a new word to me. And I guess that sometime I use this word to my colleagues and even to my senior, that interface management is each and everything within the project, whether the project was in the feasibility stage, whether the project is in the execution stage. So dealing with these things, coordinating with these two, different phases. So it means interface management. So can you, sir, briefly tell me, like in simple words, that what it could be in actual sense?
Okay, perfect. So yes, we will be discussing that in detail in the interface section. So see, what is interface management? Interface is a combination of contract and communication. Number one, it's collection of contracts plus communication. Now, what is interface management? So to understand interface management, first of all, we need to understand word interface. What is interface? So interface is a connection point between two or more parties involved in the project. It's a connection point. You understand, everybody? It's a connection. That connection could be physical connection. It could be tangible or intangible connection. Any sort of connection. For example, let's say you have two vendors who are working on the project. One is, let's say, civil works vendor or contractor, and then we have MEP vendor or vendor for the plumbing works. Now, civil work contractor has completed its work, and now the next vendor will come and start their work. Now that junction or that point is called interface. It's the interface, or it's a connection between your civil work contractor and your plumbing contractor or vendor. You understand that? Abid, any confusion about word interface?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's very clear to me right now
Okay.
that, like, you just categorically mentioned that there are two different contractors. One is M&E, and second, another one is related to some other activities.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
of course, it was really a brilliant explanation. Thank you, sir. I'm grateful.
Absolutely. So typically what we do is we write contracts for, let's say, one contractor, like what we will be doing with the civil works, and we have a separate contract with the plumbing vendor, right? Let's say we have two contracts as an honor. But you might have seen issues like when plumbing vendor comes to the site or equipment vendor comes, they say this is wrong with the civil works. Civil works are not aligned with our equipment, or not aligned with our accessories, right? So there is misalignment. No one manages that. No one manages the relationship between civil contractor and the plumbing vendors. So there is no contract between them. There is a contract between your contract with one contractor and with the vendor, but there is no contract between those two of them. So that contract is called interface contract, where we manage interfaces between multiple parties, so that when they hand over work to the next vendor, that should be aligned with their requirements. So planning for the interfaces, managing interfaces, handing over interfaces, this overall concept is called interface management. Abid, is it clear? You understand?
Sir, grateful. Roger that. I clearly understand now. Sir, thank you. So nice of you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So I was talking about 4 modules, right? What we will be covering in this course. Our today's agenda is to talk about contracts, right? Today, our plan is to talk about contracts, and tomorrow we will be talking about risk section of the contracts, okay? So if I talk about exam preparation strategy, it's very simple, right? Very simple. You need to allocate at least 3 hours on daily basis. If you allocate 3 hours on daily basis, you can follow this plan. How this plan works? So you see on day 1, we are going to have contracts, topic 1, contracts management, 3 hours long class, 1 hour for your review, right? So take notes during the session, right? After the class, sketch the full contract. So these are some of the instructions. Then day 2, we will be talking about risk management, the second part of our discussion. And then this is Saturday, right? This is Saturday. This is Sunday. And then Monday. So from Monday to Friday, we will be having 5 mock tests, right? Contract lifecycle, delivery method, tendering types, claims, risk management. So we are going to have 5 mock tests in next 5 days. Then again 2 classes on Saturday and Sunday, day 8 and day 9. Then again 5 mock tests. And then on day 15, you are going to have full mock test. If you follow this strategy, you'll be 100% preparing for the PMI-CP exam by the end of this course. You understand, everybody? So this is the strategy.
How many questions in this mock test? How many questions will be there?
So
in this
every
mock
day
test?
we will be solving roughly 30 questions. So in each daily mock test, we will be having 30 questions. And on the full mock test, we will be having 120 questions. I'll be giving you an additional mock test of 120 questions if it is needed, right? So roughly you would be solving 600 questions during the entire preparation process. These questions are brand new questions, and they are almost similar to the real exam. If you get good marks in these mock tests, means you're ready to pass that. So the cutoff, or the target is 70%. If you get 70% in these mock tests, means you are ready to write the PMI-CP exam. So 70% should be your target for PMI-CP. Okay, time for the question. So with this, we're done with our basic discussion regarding PMI-CP exam, how the exam would look like, what's the exam preparation strategy, and everything. And now we are going to jump to our first domain, which is contracts management, right? So if any of you have any question, feel free to ask. Any question, please. Anyone. Any question, please. No question? All set? Okay, so in this section, we talked about introduction to PMI-CP exam eligibility, its format, negative marking, and types of questions, passing criteria, and exam content outline, how we will be covering this course in 15 days study plan. Now, let's start with module number 1. And module number 1 is contracts management. Should we start, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
In contracts management, we will be talking about 5 topics, right? 5 topics today. We'll be talking about contracts lifecycle. We'll be talking about tendering strategies. We'll be discussing project delivery methods, types of contracts, and claims management. That's what we will be covering in our today's session. As I mentioned, there are 2 sections of contracts. One is contracts and second is risk management within those contracts. So we'll be talking about first part of our discussion today, that is contracts management. So let's start with the definition of contract. Okay, who would like to define contract?
Sir, contract. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Abid.
Okay, contract is basically mutual and legally binding.
Okay.
I mean, there are 4. If you specifically go to the contract, there are almost 4 components. One is the offer, second one is acceptance, third one is the consideration, and fourth one is the legal binding. So normally, I mean, consideration could have so many form, and legal binding has also a wide range of discussion. So basic part are, I mean, you go for the normal parts. So there are 4 parts: offer, acceptance, consideration, and legality. So it is legally binding between mutually and legally binding agreement between the 2 parties which are competent to the contract. The main thing is which are competent to the contract. So yeah, we have different, I mean, as for the definition is concerned, so I think it's enough.
All right. Thank you, Abid. Thank you so much. So Abid is saying a contract has 4 components, or there are 4 elements of a contract. There should be an offer, a party is offering something, other parties accepting something, right? And there should be a consideration, like some value attached to that. And it should be legally binding, okay? Anybody else? How would you define a contract? What is a contract?
It could be a tool for management risk.
Okay, perfect. It's a tool to manage risk in your project. Perfect, absolutely, that's right. When you write down all contract terms and conditions, so you're actually mitigating unforeseen circumstances, or you're handling those. Perfect, okay. Now, okay, so contract, it's a formal, legally binding, written agreement among parties. So my question is it mandatory that a contract should always be written, or can a verbal agreement be a contract?
So as far as the the contract law of my country is concerned, so it says that a verbal agreement can also be a contract, because I mean, like someone is giving you offer and you are
Yeah.
accepting it.
Yeah.
So this could also be the main thing is all contracts are agreements and all agreements are not contracts. So the law says that all agreements or contracts, if I mean there could be like a verbal agreement as well. For example, I'm giving an offer to somebody to sell my, let's say for example, mobile, and he accept it. That this what at this particular day I'll give you mobile, and you will give me some I mean consideration for what is required. So this was a legal verbal agreement. So it could also be a form of contract.
Okay, right. Thank you, Abid. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Can a contract be a verbal, or it is always to be in writing? Anybody else? Everybody, please contribute. Just say something, whatever.
Should be in written, because verbal, there is no traceability is there. So
Right.
contract is required traceability also.
Right. Abid, what do you say about this? Vikas is saying it should be in writing. You're saying no, according to you.
No,
Yeah.
sir, I just mentioned that contract should also be written. I mean, always be written. But as far as the verbal agreement is concerned, it could also take the form of contract.
Okay. So you're saying, isn't it contradictory? What you're saying? On one side, you're saying it should always be in writing. On the other side, you're saying it can be verbal.
Yes, sir.
How? I mean, how? On one side,
For example,
yeah.
like there are so many case laws based on this
No, that's
inside.
perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. What you're saying is that seems contradictory. On one side, you're saying contracts should be in writing, right? On the
Yes,
other side, you're saying no, if it is not in writing, even then it can be contract. So those
this
are
is what I'll. Yes.
okay. No, let me explain you, everybody. So what Abid is saying, it's right. So theoretically, if we talk about from definition perspective, a verbal agreement can be a contract. So it's not always that a contract should be in written. It can be a contract if it is verbal, but for projects, for construction projects, it's good, and it's a good practice that contracts are written, because only then they could be traceable and they could be produced in the court of law. So from definition perspective, it's not mandatory for a contract to be written, but as a good practice that is, applied all over the world, contracts are written in nature, right? Are in writing. So from
Any
that,
example you can give for the verbal contract?
sorry, what?
Any example you can quote for the verbal contract?
So anything, for example, let's say I buy a car from you. It's a verbal contract. It's not, there is nothing in writing, but uh, I'm buying something from you. In return to that, I'm paying. So this is an agreement. This is an understanding. So a shared understanding, which is not written, it's a verbal agreement.
Exactly. I want to use the same word. Shared understanding is normally we are using when we are verbally coordinating something, we agree something. So
Yeah,
we are talking about a shared or we are talking general agreement with the client or with the entity, whatever. So we are
absolutely.
talking these words, but we never talk on the contractual that, okay, this verbal contractual, but we are talking, okay, general agreement or a shared values agreement, okay, like this. Just these words we are using.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
contracts I never use. That's why. Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you.
But I'm saying from theoretical perspective, from the definition perspective, from the literal meaning perspective, when we use word contract, it doesn't have to be in writing all the time. Even if it is verbal, it could be considered as a contract. Okay. But from project perspective here, we will be talking about written contracts. Okay. Right. So
Then
yeah.
the elements of contract could be the scope of work, schedule, price, payment terms, and change management process, risk allocation, dispute
Yeah.
resolution.
Those are specifications like terms of the contracts, right? In terms of contract, you will be writing all those things. Essentially, in different text, there are different elements, but primarily there are three elements of a contract. there should be an offer, there should be an acceptance, and third thing, there should be a consideration. So these, if you have these three things, we consider that particular understanding as a contract. There should be an offer, somebody is offering, and there should be an acceptance, somebody is accepting that, and third is consideration. There should be a value attached to that. In some, readings, I have seen that they add, okay, there should be a mutual intent. It should be mutually binding. And Abid has also mentioned one thing. Parties should be able to legally enter into the agreement, right? They should be in that position to be entered into the agreement. That is also considered as one of the elements. But primarily, there are three elements. There should be an offer, there should be an acceptance, and consideration. Okay. So I hope you got the idea about the word contract that we will be talking about here. A legally binding, mutually agreed, written agreement. That's what we will be discussing in this course. You understand, everybody? Any confusion about it?
No, sir, not at all, inshallah.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, in this lesson, we will be talking about 5 different topics: contracts life cycle, tendering strategies, project delivery methods, types of contracts, and claims management, right? So let's start with the first one, contracts life cycle. So contracts life cycle is the life of a contract. In a contract, we will be having different stages, right? Different stages. So what are those different stages? So before I jump to contract life cycle, I would like to talk about project life cycle, right? So first we will be discussing project life cycle, and within that project life cycle, we will be talking about contracts life cycle. So project life cycle or project delivery life cycle has 3 main phases: front-end planning, execution, and handing over. You understand, everybody? FEP, front-end planning, execution, and handing over. Now, this might be slightly different from what you studied in PMP exam, that project management life cycle: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling. That is called project management life cycle. Here we are talking about project life cycle. There is a difference between that. So project life cycle, it has different stages. First is front-end planning, FEP. You will see this again and again in the entire course. After FEP, we have implementation or execution, and then we have closure or handing over. Within FEP, there are 3 stages. If you see FEP, feasibility, concept, and detailed scope. You understand, everybody? Within
Yes, sir.
front-end planning, we have 3 different stages: the feasibility stage, concept stage, and detailed scope stage. So in feasibility, we talked about viability, business case, and stuff like that. In concept, we talked about identification of key stakeholders and high-level work breakdown structure development. And then we do the detailed scope, right? Um, Interface strategy, align, establish interfaces, right? So these are the things that we do in the detailed scope section. Okay. Now, within this entire life cycle, this project life cycle, where project is initiated, planned, executed, and delivered and handed over, there's a concept of contract life cycle. So let me go up. Now, this is your contract life cycle. Contract life cycle has 5 stages. Contract life cycle has 5 stages. Stage 1 is the discovery, then pre-award, then proposal, then execution, and then closure. Discovery. So your contract life cycle starts with discovery stage, then pre-award, then proposal, then execution, and then contract closeout. So if I map this on here, so your contract discovery starts here. You understand, everybody? So this is your discovery.
Yes, sir.
This is your discovery, right? And then you do pre-award. So sometime pre-award happens here in the procurement section, pre-award, proposal, and execution happen during construction, and closeout during handing over. So I hope you understand the mapping of contracts lifecycle or project delivery lifecycle. So during the front end planning, we do the discovery phase of your contract. Now let's talk about what exactly we do during these different stages. So you understand, everybody, our first topic is contracts lifecycle. Contracts lifecycle has 5 different stages. So let me write these here for you. Perfect. So these are the 5 stages in your contracts lifecycle. Please pay attention, everybody. So first one is discovery, then pre-award, then proposal, then contract execution and management, and last one is contract closeout. You understand, everybody? Discovery, pre-award, proposal, execution, and closure. This sequence is really, really important for your exam. That's why I mentioned this exam is slightly challenging, because you'll be tested on the sequence. And in real life, when we manage contracts, we might be using a different sequence, and we might be having different names for these different stages, right? Maybe we call pre-construction, right? Maybe we have different names for this, right? Pre-design, right? We can have different names, but from exam perspective, you need to remember these: discovery, pre-award, proposal, execution, and closure. So we are going to start what we will be doing during the discovery stage of our program. Contract lifecycle. So what comes to your mind? What exactly we do during the discovery stage? Who would like to answer?
Sir, in discovery stage, like what kind of project we are supposed to do? Like in this phase, we discover what product we want to achieve.
Okay. So you're saying, in other words, are we talking about selection of projects?
No, sir, not selection of projects, but like what kind of project we are going to do.
Yeah, I mean, shortlisting of projects, like
Yes,
deciding what work you will be doing as an organization. This is what you're saying.
yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else? What exactly we do during the discovery stage of our contract lifecycle?
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir, in the discovery stage, I was just narrating an example. Let's say, for example, I'm supposed to provide a clean drinking water to the
Yeah.
community. So, in the discovery stage, I need to check whether the aquifer is of the capacity to feed the consumer or not. So, this is a discovery. The project is viable technically, with regulation, with respect to the financial modalities, and with respect to legal modalities. So, and we're going to check whether the project is feasible or not. I mean, this is some kind of walk-away point where we need to go for the project, or should we avoid this project. So, this is a discovery stage that we need to check whether the project is viable or not. So, this is something related to discovery stage, initial project stage.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Abid. Abid is saying it's the stage where you decide if the project is viable or not. Okay, perfect. Vikas, what do you think about it based on your experience? Have you ever seen this? Like, if you have seen this, how does that work? Have you ever heard this discovery word before? Or in your organization, what word they use? Or maybe they might not be doing this. So please share your experience, Vikas.
In our contract life cycle, normally we are never using discovery, this language. But that's is showing that this initial very stage of the contract life cycle. So in my view, because what they are talking about the project here, but we are talking on the contract life cycle. In my view, contractually, meaning discovery that okay, what should be the part of this contract, meaning what kind of things we need to add in the early stages. What will be the technically or legally. So I think very initial stage is overview of the contract, that which kind of contract we are going to do, we will prefer. I think here a little bit confused between the contract and the project.
All right, absolutely, absolutely. Very good, Vikas. Vikas, this is a very good question. And this is what we are going to discuss now, right? That's the confusion which I have seen, even if people completing this course. We're talking about discovery stage of a contract, right? We're not talking about discovery stage of a project here. So, Abid, how would you help us understand, like,
Uh,
what exactly is
sir,
happening?
Sir, I got your point. I mean, in the discovery stage, if we are going to check the project feasibility or viability, so we go for the short-term contract. For example,
Right.
let's say, for example, it's like a delivery method is designed, bid, build. So we hire a consultant who could really check the project feasibility and come up with a tentative design. So whether the design is, I mean, after checking the design, so we would be in better position that project is feasible or not. In that very particular stage, we go for the short-term contract with the designer. Let's say, for example, so this is the design discovery stage, and which we go for the short-term contract with the designer.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for detailed explanation. Now, let me add some more point into it to answer Vakas's question and just to elaborate what Abid has just mentioned. So, let me first write what are the things that exactly we do during the discovery stage of our contract lifecycle. So, there are a few things. For example, we do project analysis. I'll be talking about it in a few minutes. Project analysis, activity number one. We do market assessment. We do business development related discussions. Please pay attention, everybody. This is really important for your exam. We develop our business case. Right? We develop our business case. We determine our walkaway point. Right? And we do short-term contracts. So these are the 6 activities that we do during the discovery stage of our contract lifecycle. 6 activities that we perform during the discovery stage of our contract lifecycle. Project analysis. In project analysis, what we do, anyone please? We talk about, we analyze the initial project data. We assess project feasibility. We assess the value that is being offered by the project. Okay, that's our first one, project analysis. Okay, in the market assessment, we talk about how different projects are executed in the market. What are the best practices? What are the industry trends when it comes to this kind of project? What's the final cost, right? When it comes to these kind of different projects. In business development discussions, we talk about business partners, right? Who would be affected by this, right? Who are relevant to this, so that we take their input in consideration. And then we develop initial business case. Now, business case is the economic feasibility study of your project. Let me write it here. It is economic feasibility study of your project. Or in other words, it is justification of your project. Business case justifies your investment. Or in simple words, it's cost benefit analysis of your project. You understand, everybody? Business case is cost benefit analysis of your project. So you see if your project is beneficial or not. Cost benefit analysis. And in business case, we talk about return on investment, ROI. What's the return? You understand, everybody? this is your business case, right? Business case is the economic feasibility study. And then we have walkaway point and short-term contracts. Please pay attention, everybody. Walkaway points. So based on our initial data, parties define their walkaway points. And what is meant by walkaway point? So walkaway point is a point, it's a threshold beyond which we say project is not feasible, right? Project is not feasible. So usually contractors, they define their walkaway points. Now question is, we are just talking about the discovery stage. Let me go back, please. We're just talking about front-end planning, right? We're talking here. At this stage, we don't have any contractor. You understand, everybody? What a contractor is doing here? What's the role of a contractor here? But at the same time, we are saying this is contractor's walkaway point. So this seems contradictory. And also, if I go back, going to Vakas's point, procurement comes here. Then why contract or contractor or discovery stage of contract is in the FEP? So contract should start here during the procurement stage. You understand, everybody? Does it make sense? Typically, contractors come into picture after you're done with detailed design. You understand, everybody? Does it make sense? So see, please pay attention. So typically, this is the scene. You do your detailed design, then you run the procurement process, you hire contractor comes in picture here, and then they execute the work. You understand, everybody? Any confusion about this? Is a typical thing. Vakas, Rizwan, everybody, you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is typically how we execute project. Like we do the detailed design, then we run the procurement cycle, then contractor is onboarded and they execute the project. As you could see in this figure, detailed design, procurement. If contractor comes into picture here, then why contract life cycle starts from initiation? Now, this is what we are going to answer now. And this will answer Vakas' point as well. So see, what happens is, everybody, there is a concept that is called early contractors involvement. Early contractors involvement. So there is a concept of early contract involvement. Early contract involvement for complex project. What we do is we involve contractors during the earlier stages of the contract. So it's an approach, right? As we discussed, design build or DBB. So this is a approach, and the exact name of this approach is early contractor involvement. Let me write it here.
This, I think this approach is expression of interest because I read it in normally in the newspapers, ads, no? Ads are coming, expression of interest, something for the contractor they are asking something. No?
Not just expression of interest, not
Oh,
just EY. Let me explain this. So this is called early contractor involvement. So this is an approach, right? So ECI, it's a procurement approach where a contractor or sometimes multiple contractors is engaged before the main contract is awarded. Let me write it here. So it's a procurement approach, right? Where contractors are engaged before main contract is awarded. You understand, everybody? This is called ECI. Now comes to the question of contract lifecycle. That why a contract life cycle begins during the FEP. Let me go back. So this is your project. As a client, you're going to kickstart your project here during the FEP. So what you will be doing, you will be engaging these contractors, potential contractors, during this stage. Why? To take their input. To take their input. So we are not engaging contractors here to execute the project. We are engaging with the contractors to take their input for the design and scope of project. You understand? That's why contracts life cycle may start when a client or an owner organization kickstart their project, or they are in the feasibility or concept stage. You understand, everybody? That's why we have discovery stage at this stage from contract perspective. Does it make sense? So during discovery stage, what we do is we engage these contractors through early contractors involvement approach, and contractors, they define their walkaway point. So walkaway point is a point where they think this project is not financially viable for them or technically viable for them. For example, if they think the project's profitability is, let's say, 100 million, and minimum threshold for them is 200 million, so they say this project is not financially viable. Or they may think this project is not technically viable to us because we don't have expertise. So this is called walkaway point. So walkaway point is a point where contractors, potential contractors, they get out of the project believing that they're not able to execute the project, or project is not viable for them, or project is not profitable for them. So this is called walkaway points. And what you also do is you sign a short-term contract with these contractors which you have engaged earlier. So what will happen with the help of these short-term contract? They will be assisting you in the design stage. They will be providing their input, right? Or they will be doing constructability of the project. What is constructability? Anyone, please? Anyone, please? What is constructability? Anyone, please? Have you ever heard this term, constructability?
Yeah, this steps meaning included to perform, execute projects.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning this example in this way that the project is in phase one or phase two, like this flexibility overall, and in between, like okay, we will start from zone 1 2, and in this area we will first start expansion. Parallelly we will start zone 2 with the piling work or some these things in steps, how the step by step how the project will execute on the ground.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So we actually see practicality of the design. Is
Sir,
this
uh,
it could be
design? Yeah.
like it could be the sequence of construction activities.
Yeah, sequence of construction activity, but actually we see the, practical application of the design, right? That we
uh,
call constructability or buildability. It's the
could
ease
be
and efficiency with which design can be constructed, right? So we see how easy it would be to construct this particular project. Can this design is buildable? Can it be constructible, right? So we talk about various risks associated with that, various constraints associated with that. In other words, it's the other form of viability. Is our project viable? So short-term contracts are negotiated to see if your project is viable, if your project is constructible, if your project is buildable, right? Now you see these are the things that we do during the discovery stage of your contract. And let me briefly talk more about walkaway points. So what do you think? What are the factors based on which contractors say this is our walkaway point? How do they determine walkaway point? Or what are the factors which they consider while defining their walkaway point? Everybody, please mention one point. What comes to your mind? If you are a
Past
contractor and
experience.
you want to see if this project is good for you or not, tell me one aspect that you will be considering.
Past experience.
Cost experience, past,
Past experience.
okay. Past experience, you're talking about skill set, okay, right?
Sir, the return on investment could not be what is intended for.
So Vikas mentioned past experience or expertise. Thank you. Yes, really important. Abid
Sir,
mentioned ROI, return, or in other words, we call it margins.
or
Okay,
it
and
could be also be a it could also be like a what is the payback period, so that would not be viable.
again, margin. What's the margin and
Yes.
profitability? Okay, anybody else?
So the technology is nowadays so technology that this is obsolete technology or it's also nowadays looking yeah, in this way.
Okay, anybody else?
Sir, the environment, I mean, the project could not be feasible or constructible with respect to environmental regulation.
Yeah, so what we do is we actually do review the scope of your project, right?
Yes, sir.
And what you're saying is if it is constructible or not, so actually we look at risks,
Yes, sir.
right? And last is time scale. So these are the 5 factors that we consider when it comes to, you know, making sure if a project is viable or not. From exam perspective, remember two of these are super important. Two of these are super important, right? And one is margins and second is risk. So based on that, they decide if the project is good for them or not, right? And then short-term contract is negotiated to talk about constructability, risks, areas of weaknesses without encountering a lot of cost, right? Without, um, let me write the correct spelling. Okay. Without investing a lot of money, what we do is we engage with these contractors, right? To see if the project is viable and to make better designs. So I hope you're clear about. So that's all with regards to discovery stage of your program. So during the discovery stage, we talk about feasibility, we do project analysis, market analysis, business development discussion. We develop the business case, which is economic feasibility study. We talk about walkaway point and short-term contract. If you have any question about it, feel free to ask. Now, Vakas, are you able to understand when it comes to discovery, are we talking about project or contract, Vakas?
Yeah, it
You
is
understand
clear to
that?
me. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
clear to me. No, thank you.
Yeah. So actually, we are starting the project. It's the initial stage of your project. It's the front end planning, FEP, right? We're talking about project, but during the early stages of project, when we don't have any contractor, what we do is we engage with well-known contractors in that field or in that technology to seek their input in the design or scope. Now, this early engagement, right, is make the contract life cycle comparable to project life cycle. That's why we have discovery stage of contract here instead of during the procurement stage. So contract life cycle does not start here. Contract life cycle starts here, but not for all projects. If you're working on, let's say, a government project, you complete all these things, you complete the design, and then contract comes into picture, then contract life cycle would start from here. Then there won't be any discovery stage, right? It will be directly pre-award. You understand, everybody? You understand? Any confusion
Yes,
about it?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's
Now,
fine.
this is the clarity that you need for the exam, because most of the students get confused where we should be starting the contract life cycle, why it's starting at the discovery stage, why it's starting at the procurement stage, because it depends on the type and nature of project. Okay, I hope you got the clarity. After discovery stage, we have stage 2. What's the name of stage 2? Anyone, please? What is stage 2? Remember? Okay,
Pre-award.
you should understand these for your exam. These are really important, okay? If you don't understand, or I would use the word memorize, then it would be challenging for you. So maybe memorization is not the right word. You need to understand, right? So after discovery, we have pre-award. Okay, in pre-award, what we do is, remember, the next stage is proposal. Now we need to award contract, right? Award contract. So during the pre-award, what we do is we make all potential or all the preparation for the award of the contract. So we will be developing a lot of documentations, right? So what we do is we define the delivery method. Delivery methods are defined. Contract strategies are developed, right? Contract strategies are developed. We do risk assessment. We define risk appetite, right? And we do tendering, right? We define our tendering strategy, which tendering process we would be following, right? Or any other limitations regarding to that, right? We develop tendering documentations. Tender documents are developed, right? Tender documents. We develop evaluation criteria, like on which basis vendors would be evaluated. Evaluation criteria, right? And then we jump into the proposal stage, right? We jump into the proposal stage. Okay, now let's talk about it. Delivery method. So next topic is delivery method. I'll be talking about it in detail in the delivery section, method section, because in order to execute project, there are multiple delivery methods. There are different ways to deliver the project. Let's say as a client or as an owner, maybe you have your own team and you do with your in-house team. It's one of the methods. Second is you say, okay, I don't have a team. Let's hire a contractor and let them do everything. This is second approach. Third approach is you say, I don't have expertise. Let's hire a consultant or a designer. Let them design. And once design is complete, I'll be hiring a construction contractor. This is another approach. So these are different delivery method based on how many parties you will be involving in the project and who will be doing what. So this defines your delivery method. There are 7 to 8 different types of delivery methods we'll be talking about in detail. But the point that you need to understand at this stage is during the pre-award stage, we define delivery method for your project. You understand, everybody? Any question about it? Anyone? Any question about delivery methods? We'll be talking about delivery methods in detail, but here you need to understand you define delivery method based on project need. Then we have contract strategies. There are different ways to do contract. There are different types of contracts. For example, lump sum contract, cost reimbursable contract, fixed price contract, T&M, times and means or times and material contract, unit price contract, and measurement contracts, right? Fixed price, economic price adjustment. What type of contract is suitable to you? You'll be talking about that in detail. Risk appetite. Appetite is willingness to take risk. Because based on risk appetite, we decide what kind of contract we will be doing. You understand, everybody? Because if we want to take all the risks, right, or if we want to transfer all the risk to the third party, maybe we will be going with fixed price contract, lump sum contract, guaranteed maximum price, GMP type. You understand, everybody? So based on risk appetite, appetite means willingness to take risk, hunger, willingness, ability to take risk, willingness. It could be high, it could be medium, it could be low. If it is high, we call them risk takers. Otherwise, we call them risk neutral. Otherwise, we call them, if it is low, we call them risk averse. So risk factor impacts the type of, work you will be doing in terms of contracts. Tendering strategies. So there are different types of tendering strategies, right? There are different types of tendering strategies. First, we need to understand the meaning of word tender. What is meant by tender? Anyone, please? How would you define word tender? Anyone?
Specifically, sir, the word tender means to, I mean, to award something to somebody.
Okay. Anybody else?
Could be a formal proposal submitted by a
Right.
bid
Absolutely. Formal proposal.
in response of to invitation to tender.
Yeah. So tender, the literal meaning of word tender is it's a formal offer. Formal proposal, or it's an offer. Offer. You might have heard a word bid, right? So bid or tender, right? It means an offer. So for example, somebody has submitted their tender documents or their bids documents. So it's somebody they have what they have done is they have submitted their offer. Okay. And also it's sometimes it is used as a formal invitation, right? So tender is a formal invitation issued by the honor organization requesting suppliers or contractors to submit their offers. So tender is initiated by client. So let me briefly explain the difference between tender and bid. These terms are used interchangeably, but there is a slight difference. So tender is formally used as it's a formal invitation by client. Formal invitation by client. And bid is it's a formal offer by a potential contractor or vendor or a bidder, right? Or a supplier. And it is submitted in response to tender, right? So that's the difference. So we need to define our tendering strategy. As a client, we want bidders to submit bids. So we need to define the strategy, how it should be done. Now, there are different ways to do the tendering. Let me write different types of tendering strategies. So for example, we have open tendering. Open tendering. We have selective tendering, right? We have negotiated tendering, open, selective, negotiated, right? We have framework tendering, right? We have single stage tendering. We have two-stage tendering. And we have request for proposal, RFP. Now, these are different tendering strategies: open, selective, negotiated, framework, single stage, two-stage, and RFP. Now, let's talk about the first one, open tendering. So, open tendering, it's a tendering type where any supplier is open to submit a tender or supply a good. This provides an equal opportunity to all organizations interested in tendering. You understand, everybody? This is called open tendering. What do you think? What's the drawback of this? Who would like to answer? What's the drawback of open tendering? Anyone, please.
So the main drawback, which I understand by the open tendering, I mean, any, I mean, qualified or anybody who's not qualified will specifically submit their tenders. So this is, I think, one of the drawbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can do that. So you need a lot of resources and time to run the tendering process. You understand, everybody? You need to select the right contractor or vendor for you. If you are inviting everybody, yes, it's competitive, it's open, it offers equal opportunity to everybody to participate in the tendering process, but it requires a lot of time and resources. You understand that?
It's selective.
Then we have selective tendering. Here in selective tendering, you're not requesting everybody to submit their bids.
Okay, the buyer invites a pre-select group.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
Is a buyer invites a pre-select group.
Yeah, absolutely. Pre-select group or pre-qualified group of vendors, they are only invited for tenders, right? So organizations, they have a pre-qualified list of possible suppliers based on previous experiences. And instead of doing open, they say, okay, these 8 organizations will be participating. So this is called selective tendering. Then we have negotiated tendering. When you are doing to do some specialized job and there are only a few contracting agencies, or let's say one contractor, so what you do, the owner organization will invite a single supplier to submit a bid for a highly specialized contract, right? So this is quick, this is cost effective, right? And if there are any differences, they are negotiated between 2 parties until all satisfactory result is achieved. So this is negotiated tendering. This is now
Sir,
Negotiated how become cost effective? Because if like this, if a standalone is there, so main monopoly is there like this, so
yeah, that's
how
a
it
very good
can
point.
become?
That's a very good point. We're not talking about cost of the contract. We're talking about cost of the tendering process. The process would be easier. The process would be simpler from time perspective. So cost not specifically in terms of financial perspective, from time perspective, as we discussed in open tendering, which is quite hectic, a lot of resources, time and energy is required. For negotiated tendering, it's easier because only one party is involved. You understand? But yes, cost of contract, it depends on negotiation. If you are a good negotiator, maybe you'll get a good price. If you're a bad negotiator, or if the other one is better than you, maybe you'll be getting a high price. So it all depends on the negotiation. But if we're talking about the process is easier. Vikas, you understand?
Sir,
Got it.
like we are talking about the negotiated tendering. So, I mean, we are looking for something, some specialized job to be done by a specific entity, or maybe is it about like a single source or a sole source?
That's
I
right.
mean,
That's right. That's right. There is only
okay.
one entity that is specialized in that technology. There are no other vendors available. So you need to do negotiated tendering for that. Okay. Abid, you understand?
Okay, okay, I understand that.
Perfect. Next is
Got
framework
it.
tendering. Framework tendering. So in framework tendering, what we do is some organizations, they are continuously doing projects after projects. So what they do is they agree on a high level framework with multiple entities, and they define, okay, if we have this type of project, we will be having these type of contractors. So they already shortlist them, and when they have a project, they quickly onboard them. So there is no typical process of running procurement cycle every time you have a new project. You agree on a
So
high
what
level
is the
framework?
difference then selective and framework?
So see,
Selective and framework. Yeah.
in selective, whenever you have a project, you will be running a procurement cycle, but you will only be inviting selective entities, but you are running the procurement cycle. In framework, you're not running a separate procurement cycle. You have already shortlisted entities who will be directly working with you. So you're not, doing any tendering process. You're not running any evaluation criteria. You're not doing that, right? You understand, okay, this is the project and this is the entity who will be doing that. So you have understood, you have defined a high-level framework with that, right? So typically, one or more suppliers are appointed and selected, and they would be doing all the work. Let's say you want to buy particular material that is required for all of your project. So rather than you run procurement cycles separately for all of your product, you agree on one contract and you say, okay, for all my products, you will be providing this material. Let's say steel. A steel vendor would be providing steel for all of your projects, right? Now, this is called framework tendering. You understand, Vakas and everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. When the project arises, owner selects the supplier, right, based on that framework which is already negotiated and understood, and they directly instruct them to start the work. No tendering, nothing, no evaluation criteria, nothing. Okay. So this is very simple. Okay. Sometimes we have couple of vendors, so then we, run a second round to select between them. But most of the time we have one entity and we directly ask them, okay, kickstart the project based on agreed rates. So this is just to quickly or speed up the process and to avoid all the delays that we go through in other processes. Okay, then we have single stage tendering. Single stage tendering is when design is finalized and you ask somebody how much money you will charge to do this. That is called single stage tendering. So single stage tendering, when there is a sufficient project information and data to calculate the accurate price of the work. When you have design and when you know the accurate price, right, what you do is you hire an entity and you ask them to kickstart the work. And that is what we call invitation to tender, ITT. Please remember. Let me explain the difference here. Invitation to tender, ITT, versus or request for proposal. Sometimes it is called RFP as well. Okay, invitation to tender. So invitation to tender, ITT, right? It's created and issued to a supplier. It contains detailed design. Remember, invitation to tender contain detailed design, and we just ask for the price. When you have ITT with design, it's a single stage tendering. You understand, everybody? And when you don't have a design, what you do is you hire a designer to do the design, and then you hire a contractor to execute the product. That is called two-stage tendering. So two-stage tendering is used when there is no sufficient project information and scope is not finalized. So this allows the early appointment of a designer for the first stage of work. Once the scope and pricing is finalized, then they negotiate a fixed price for the second stage contract. So this is called two-stage tendering. You understand, everybody? Any confusion between single stage and two stage?
Then
So
invitation to tender is when the buyer has a clear idea, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we said they have a detailed design. They have clear idea how the project would look like, how it would be executed, and what the cost would be. That is called ITT, invitation to tender, and that is done in single stage. When they don't have any idea, they ask that person, okay, first do the design, calculate the cost, do the estimation. Once it is done, then they run another round to negotiate the fixed price for the second stage. So this is called two-stage tendering. You understand?
yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Then RFP, request for proposal, RFP. Okay, difference between ITT and RFP is that in RFP, we do not have detailed design. Please remember, the difference between invitation to tender versus invitation to proposal or request for proposal is that tender contains a detailed design. Proposal does not contain detailed design. Right? RFP has a basic project information with interim design to provide contractors some guidance. And based on that, they develop the detailed design. So that's the difference between ITT and RFP. Please remember this for your exam. Now, these are different strategies which are used depending upon your project, speed, and other parameters. So based on that, you need to select the right tendering strategy for your project. So actually, we are discussing this point. You understand, everybody? We're talking about pre-award, and within pre-award, we talked about tendering strategy. Any confusion about it? Anyone, please?
It's fine, sir.
Okay, perfect. We
One
develop.
thing, sir, like, one
Yeah.
minute. On the invitation to proposal, you
Mhm.
mentioned that contain design and propose and design and scope not finalized. Invitation to proposal.
See,
Can you
let
please?
me simplify this. Let me simplify this for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one word here. So this is request for proposal. And let me write it RFP. So see, the difference between ITT and RFP, you'll see this in the exam. So ITT, it's an invitation that contains complete and comprehensive design. ITT contains design and everything. Request for proposal, it does not contain detailed design. It just contains basic project information with interim or concept design. That's why it is called request for proposal. So when honor organization, they have pretty good idea what exactly they are going to do, how the product would look like, what would be the cost, they issue ITT. When they don't have idea about product
ITP
design,
ITP is not there in the exam perspective. The difference will come only ITT and RFP.
yes, ITT and
ITP
RFP.
ITP not
ITT,
included, huh?
so that's a different name for RFP. Okay. One is
Okay, clear.
ITT, second is RFP. So just to
Got
simplify
it.
that, the difference between ITT and RFP is that ITT contains detailed design, RFP does not contain detailed design. You understand that? Vikas, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Sir. Clear.
Okay, perfect, perfect. We're spending so much time, but okay, no problem. As long as you're able to understand, no problem. So, okay. So during the pre-award stage, we do all these activities. We develop tendering documents, right? Bidding documents, and we develop the evaluation criteria, right? Evaluation criteria. Okay, what do you think? What do we write in evaluation criteria? What do we write in evaluation criteria?
Sir, specifically in evaluation criteria, we check the technical expertise of the contractor, like his staff, the cost parameters. I mean, what will be the cost parameter offered by different contractor or vendors? So we are going to uh, uh, design a criteria on which ground and basis the contract will be awarded to specific contractor.
Absolutely. The
And while
ground on,
evaluation also the financial health of the contractor, those things.
yeah, absolutely. We talk about financial health. Yes. We talk about their past experience. So let me write some of the, factors that we consider, right? Let me write it here. It contains financial stability, right? We talk about their credit ratings, right? We talk about their personnel, their capability, right? Their past projects, right? We talk about their technical expertise, their equipment, reputation, right? Duration in business, registration with regulatory bodies, right? Safety related considerations. So all of these factors are considered to evaluate vendors, right? And we have different systems. We have score-based system, right? So the vendor that gets the highest score, what we do is we hire them. So that's the pre-award stage. After pre-award stage, we jump into the third stage, and third stage is proposal stage. If you have any questions so far, feel free to ask. Anyone, please. Any question, please. We're talking about proposal process now.
It's fine.
Okay. In the proposal process, what we do is we run the proposal cycle now, right? For example, RFTs are issued, request for tender or request for proposals are issued. We have already talked about the difference between these two, right? And during the proposal stage, what happens is there are actually 5 steps of proposal. Anybody who could recall 5 steps? Anyone, please? If you have gone through the readings. So we have bid solicitation. We have bid submission, right? We have subcontracting. We have bid selection. And we have contract formulation. So these are 5 stages of the proposal process: solicitation, submission, selection, and all these. Okay. Sometime this subcontracting is written as like this. Okay. What is solicitation? Solicitation is when as an honor you invite bids, right? So honor completes the proposal documentation and releases an invitation to tender or request for proposal. So I'm requesting vendors to submit their bids or offers. You understand, everybody? This is called solicitation. Asking for bids.
Yes, sir.
Number 1, solicitation. And after solicitation, what happens is subcontracting. Now, what is this subcontract? So see, let's say I am a potential vendor and I want to submit my bid. So what I will be doing is I will be partnering with another entity. I'll be saying, okay, let's do it together. So that step is called subcontracting, right? So as a joint venture, as a JV or as a partnership agreement, we will be submitting a joint proposal. So that step is subcontracting. Third is bid submission. We will be submitting our bids with all the documents and everything, right? That is submitted to the honor. And during this step, what happens is we convene bidders conference or pre-bid meetings. Bidders conference. If they have any doubts or issues, honor organization, tendering agency, they will be inviting all the bidders and they will be clarifying their doubts. Whatever the outcome is, that will be shared with all potential vendors who are interested in the process. So submission is done, then selection is done based on the criteria, and then contract is formulated, contract is documented. Award is done, right? Now this is the proposal stage of your contract. Now after proposal stage, we have the 4th stage, which is contract execution and management. If you have any question about it, feel free to ask regarding 3rd stage.
Sir, it is fine.
Contract execution and management. Okay, now this is the delivery stage of your program, right? This is the delivery stage of your program. So contract is hired. Now you are in the execution stage. We see commencement of work, right? we see deliverables are produced, right? We do quality assurance and quality control. We don't have a lot of time, but quickly, what's the difference between QA and QC? Anyone, please. What's the difference?
Sir, uh, like for example, I'm going to deliver some product. So I will specifically talk about the civil engineering project. For example, I'm going to uh, mm, produce a concrete. So on which specification this concrete will be, like what will be the specification, different specification for the coarse aggregate, for the fine aggregate, for the binding material. So these are something related to quality control. Because I'm controlling quality, I have some specific parameter, and I'm going to produce a concrete based on those parameters. So once the concrete is produced, so I need to go for the quality checks later on, like the compressive strength testing, like these things. So these are the something related to the quality assurance.
Right,
Like for
Quality
example,
assurance is the defining the parameters, and quality control is the to check these parameters during the execution.
absolutely right. Thank you so much, Vikas. You're absolutely right. Quality assurance is all about defining the process of the quality. And control is actually focused on the product, like testing. Performing test is quality control, making sure that you are following the right process, you are using the right tools, right? This is called quality assurance. So assurance starts before building the product, and quality control is mainly done during the product development. When you're developing the product, when you develop a certain part of product and then you test it, right? Let's say you are uh, building a concrete slab, concrete column. So doing those testing, this is called quality control. Now, what is QA here? So QA is following the ACI standards. Like all our concrete would be based on ACI, American Concrete Institute standards, ACI. So following standards is called quality assurance. And doing actual testing, this is called quality control. You understand, everybody? That's the difference between QA and QC. So we do quality assurance and quality control, which overall this is called performance management, managing performance. And then contract governance. So within governance, what happens is we review the work. Sorry. Right? Formal acceptance, contract modifications, claims, payments, and all those things, right? So these are the things that we do in contract execution, right? So deliver in we conduct contracts review sessions, right? We develop we do performance management, cost, schedule, quality, and safety, right? Now the last thing is contract closeout. Contract closeout. So in contract closeout, what we do is we review our contract documentation, right? We review any change orders, right? We validate substantial completion. We call it facility permitting, substantial completion, right? Let me write it here. Completion of operations. We do final accounting, right? And then we close the contract. So these are the activities that we perform during the closeout of the contract. So I'll be quickly talking about key contract clauses, and then we will be concluding our discussion regarding contract life cycle. So there are different clauses when it comes to contract. So for example, we have change clause. Let me write it here. Clauses of the contract. We have change related clause, contract modification, how to modify the contract, right? So contracts are usually, they are in the form of standard form of contract, which could be mutually amended, right? You can amend standard form of contract, so change related clauses. And you might see a question in the exam, can you amend standard form of contract? Yes, you can, but that is based on mutual agreement. So we have dispute resolution clause, right? We'll be talking about dispute resolution strategies. You have indemnity clause. What is indemnity clause? What is indemnity? Anyone, please? What is indemnity?
Sir, indemnity clauses are basically the disclaimer clauses.
What is meant by disclaimer?
Disclaimer means, for example, to put employer want to put the risk on the contractor. Like the employer would say that during the excavation process, if there is some underground utility and that is encountered, so if there is damage, so you will need to repair it on your own cost.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So this is a clause that transfers risk to another entity, where other party indemnifies, compensates the one who's bearing the loss. Then we have liquidated damages, LDs. What is this?
Sir, liquidated damages are basically, for example, uh, let's say that, for example, the contractor has not achieved the planned value. So, I mean, he could be charged with the liquidated damages. That is specifically called interim liquidated damages. Are liquidated damages, I mean, because the contractor was not able to complete this amount of work in this very particular time, so he's again charged with the liquidated damages.
Yeah, absolutely. In simple words, it's a pre-agreed amount of money that a party must pay to the other party if they fail to perform their contractual obligation,
Yeah,
right?
yes, like 0.1% of the total contract amount that should be charged. The contractor should be charged with that if he is not able to complete the work and in a specific timeline.
Yeah, and then there is a limit to that cap as well. I think 10%, maybe 10% of the total contract.
No, sir. Normally, as per the FEDIC, that is 0.1%, like these values. 10% is
No,
really
no,
great.
no. That is 0.01, I guess, per day, something like that. But there is
Yeah,
a
if,
maximum.
of course. Sorry, I forgot it. It's per day.
Yeah. And
Per
there is
day,
a
but the
maximum
cap
to
is
that.
maximum capping is 7 to 10%.
Yeah,
Max.
I have seen, I think it's in one of the contract, it was around 10%, if I recall. So yeah, so that is liquidated damages, right? LD. Okay, perfect. So then we have payment clause, how payment would be done, what would be the schedule of payment, what are the payment related requirements. We have termination related, how contract termination would be done on default of either party, right? So these are, we have time barred clauses. So states a deadline that contractor must raise a claim, right? So they say, okay, within, let's say 15 days, within 10 days, within 28 days. So it includes a time frame. So these are some of the um, clauses that we see in contracts, right? So with this, we are done with our first part of our discussion regarding contract, which is contract delivery, contract life cycle, right? So very important section for your exam. You'll see a lot of questions from this. As I mentioned, 50% of your exam would be from contract section, right? So here we talk about 5 different stages of your contract: pre-award, discovery, pre-award, proposal, contract execution, and contract closeout. Okay, next part of our discussion is project delivery methods. Project delivery methods. So let's talk about it. Project delivery methods. Now, as we discussed, there are different ways to deliver the project, right? There are different ways to deliver the project. There could be multiple parties who involve in the project with sharing risks and responsibilities. So in built environment projects, we use mixture of services, including planning, design, and construction, right? Planning, design, and construction. Sometime maybe one entity has the right skill set to do this, right? And sometime we may have different teams, let's say an owner, a designer, or a builder, and they will be performing their own functional responsibilities for that particular project. Now, arrangements of these different entities generate different types of delivery methods, right? There are different types of delivery method. Let's say first one is design, bid, build. DBB. And then we have DB. So design, bid, build. Let's first talk about this. Design, bid, build is a type of contract or a delivery method where we have two entities, where we have two different entities. Are you able to see my screen, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So design, bid, build. Design, bid, build. So it's a delivery method where you have a designer, right, who develop the design. And once design is finalized, what you do is you hire another entity who will be doing or constructing the project. So this is called design, build, bid, build contract. So owner would be having two contracts here. One is owner designer. Second is owner builder. So first you will be completing the detailed design. Once it is completed, another entity would be hired to do the detail, to do the construction, right? Or execution. Right? It's most commonly used method for completing projects. Right? So first we have a design phase where we will be completing all the design. After that, we will be having the bid phase where we will be doing bidding for the contractor. Then contractor come, and then we have execution phase or build phase. So this is called DBB. Who would like to answer? What are the benefits of DBB or traditional contract? Anyone, please. What are the benefits or advantages? Anyone, please.
Sir, benefits of the design, build, and execution type of delivery method could be, in my view, it could be a more realistic one. Like we have sufficient and plenty of time for the design, and of course we have intended time for the execution.
Okay. What's the benefit? My question is, what's the benefit?
The design is complete before binding for consistent project or for consistent contract.
Sir, I think because it includes bidding, so there will be a competition and lower prices. Also, the roles is defined differently, because the design team, it will be a separate then for bidding process, and then there is a build process.
Okay, well-defined roles, perfect. We have specialized entities in design and execution, and they will be performing their role, perfect. And each party is accountable for their own work. So accountability, perfect. Is there any drawback of this type of contract? What are the
Relatively,
disadvantages?
it is a slow. I mean, as
Yeah,
compared to other method, it is a slow process.
perfect.
Like
It's
it
slow and
takes a lot
time
of time,
consuming.
time consuming.
Because first you will be hiring a designer, they will be doing design, then you will be doing bidding for contractor, then they will come and they will do the work, right? And also there would be a blame game between designer and contractor, and
Yeah,
there
this
would be
is a
a lot
very
of
common
claims,
scenario.
right? So because contractor would be saying, okay, this was wrong in design, and design would say, no, there is something wrong with the execution, right? So this problem leads to multiple claims.
The
So
high owner risk.
yeah, go ahead.
The drawback could be owner risk is high.
Sorry, what is high?
High risk for owner.
High risk for the owner, right? High risk for the owner. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Because for design, you have another entity, for execution, you have another entity, and there is no single point of accountability. You're right. High risk for owner. So to handle these challenges, we come with DB type contractor, where instead of we hire separate designer and builder, we hire one entity and we call that entity a design builder. A design builder would be doing design of the product and they will be building the product. Typically an architect, engineer, they serves the owner a single contact for the entirety of the project. A single contact point, right? Now there are some of the advantages of this type of contract. It's fast, single point of accountability, right? Low risk for the owner, but at the same time, there are some challenges as well. For example, if I talk about challenges, when we have a single entity who will be doing all the work, right? Then it's difficult to maintain checks and balances, right? Because if there are
Like
many
you could say,
designer, yeah,
like you
go
could
ahead.
say, the chances of errors could be more.
Chances of errors could be more because less oversight, because one entity is doing all the work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Intentionally or unintentionally, they will be hiding those, right? So less checks and balances, and that will may compromise quality of product.
The risk is low or medium.
Sorry.
The risk is low or medium.
So see, we can't say medium or low because we are not comparing with any standard. So as compared to the previous one, risk is low,
Okay.
right? As compared to the previous one, risk is low. Okay, third one is CMAR, construction manager at risk. CMAR. So CMAR is a type of contract where owner has a contract with the designer. Please pay attention. This is really important, right? And then owner has a contract with the CMAR construction manager. And a construction manager at risk, right? It's the individual, right, that offers GMP. guaranteed maximum price to the owner. Like for this particular design, we will be doing this work, let's say $100 million. $100 million. Now this is called CMAR. Now if you see, isn't it similar to DBB? Because in DBB, if you recall, we had a designer, right? And we had a builder. So let's say this CM acts as a builder. So isn't it DBB? Who would like to answer? Anyone, please?
Sir, I think it's not like that, because in my view that here in this point, a construction manager at risk in this very particular contract, the owner may not have any expertise to conduct, or I mean, he may not be so technical. So he hire individual consulting like construction manager at risk. He basically again go for the guaranteed maximum price, but as I mean, of course, he'll be dealing with the designer also. So, in my view, the owner is not technically quite enough. So he basically, I mean, hire a construction manager who is doing all these things for the owner.
No, the CM is included I mean, involved in the design phase also. So he will be part in the design phase and construction phase. So overall project he is reviewing. But in the DBB is the contractor is has different dimension. Only he's looking at the construction and designer is doing the design. So both are reporting separately. But here in this case, he is reporting both the entities for many. CM is reporting for the design point of view and constructability point of view also to the owner.
All right. Now that's a very good point. But if you see here, please remember this. Yes, from oversight perspective, yes, construction manager is involved in the design and construction process, but the liability of the design lies with the designer. Please remember this for your exam. You understand, everybody? The liability or risk of design is not with the construction manager. Construction manager coordinates with the designer, they oversees design, right? But the liability of design lies with the designer. Construction manager is only responsible for the execution part. So in other words, design risk lies with the designer and construction risk lie with the construction manager. And they act as a owner's representative to oversee the overall project. They do oversee overall project, but risk responsibilities are shared among designer as well as construction manager. For
Sir,
example,
here
yeah.
I need to, for example, let's say, for example, if the tentative cost is the $100 million, or it's the basically guaranteed maximum price. So the construction manager is the one who is responsible to complete the project within this budget. If let's say, for example, it will be 101 million US dollar. So the owner may not be responsible for it. It is what, because the construction manager has given the guarantee that maximum price could not exceed the $100 million. So here in this case again, if let's say, for example, construction manager who is overseeing all the project for the owner, but again he is responsible for this GMP.
Yeah, absolutely. But after the detailed design. You understand that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of
After
course.
the detailed design. If design changes because of anything, then CMAR is not responsible for that. So that's why we say, so see, actually what happens is CMAR itself, they might not be executing the project. So what they do is we have a contractor here, right? And we have,
Yes, sir.
let's say,
Yes, sir.
subcontractors here, right? So this is how it works. And here we have a dotted line, which is kind of coordination with this. Now you see, so this is how it works, right? So construction manager ensures GMP after the detailed design. So what happens is owner comes up with the basic design, with the initial design. They share it with the construction manager. Construction manager work with the designer to come up with the final design. And based on final design, they offer a GMP. Now it's the job of construction manager to complete the project within that GMP. You understand, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Any question about it? So this is good for projects where owners, they don't have a lot of expertise and they want expert representatives who will be dealing everything on behalf of the owner. So this is what we call CMAR. Okay, so just remember for your exam, it's a type of delivery method that is derived from DBB, design build bid build contract. And the key difference between DBB and CMAR is that instead of the architect or the designer overseeing the design process and construction quality, a construction manager is hired by the owner to oversee the entire project and provide the owner
So,
with GMP. Yeah.
so let me ask you a question. For
Yeah.
example, what happens in my country, let's say, for example, the health department, they are going to construct a hospital, let's say, for example, but they're all health department, they're all non-technical, they're all doctors.
Yeah.
So specifically, they would need some construction manager. Let's say, for example, here in my country, they would take the help of the communication and word department.
Yeah.
In my view, let's say, for example, the communication and work department, they are the one, like, I mean, of course, they will give design to some other designer, but the
Yeah.
communication and work department, they would act as a construction manager who will
Yeah.
be responsible for completing the project with stipulated period of time plus with the maximum price.
Absolutely, that is right. So you can see they are the executing agency.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Who will be working with the designer and the contractor to offer GMP. Perfect. So this is CMAR. Next is
What will be
job
the
order.
merits and demerits, pros and cons for this? See,
So
like
see,
before we.
yeah, if I talk about
Uh,
merits and demerits, so for example, the advantage is that the owner is getting GMP, guaranteed maximum price. Okay, this product will be completed in 100 million and a person is responsible for that. That's the advantage. When you need a cost control, right, you can go for GMP. Disadvantage is that honor organizations, they do not have any expertise, right? So they need to hire another entity, so it will increase the cost of the overall project because you need to pay to CMAR as well, right? So cost will go up, right? And another advantage on the other side is that you're getting GMP, all the coordination efforts and everything is taken care of. You need not to be involved in day-to-day routine work from honors perspective. And whenever we say benefits, we usually take it from honors perspective. High cost, but no involvement. Vikas, is it clear?
oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
In this
sir,
case,
one
in this case, the guaranteed maximum price, the owner wants to cost control with early involvement.
Sorry, Julian, could you please repeat your question?
Okay, I have a question. Guaranteed maximum price is when the owner wants cost control with early involvement.
Yeah, absolutely. That is right. That is absolutely right. When owner wants control on cost without their own involvement because they are not expert in that.
Sir, one question more. For example, in the previous scenario, like the construction manager at risk, I mean, does the variation order or change order are also applicable in that contract?
No, not at all. That's why we said if the design changes, then GMP is not guaranteed. GMP is only guaranteed if design is fixed.
Okay, sir, got it.
That's why we said design risk lies with the designer and the owner,
Okay, sir.
right? That's why we
Great,
initially
great.
did that. Construction risks are lies with construction manager. Design risk lies with the designer. Next is
There is
GOC,
some
job order. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Sometimes, for example, design is based on assumption. Like, for example, if I am going to dig a borehole for the tube wells, so I may specifically have assumed that hard strata may be encountered at 100 meter. Let's say, for
Right.
example, during the digging process, the hard strata is encountered in 50 meter. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I mean, we have we have this situation here, which only could be solved by variation order or change order.
Mm,
So
By
yeah. So
such scenario,
what exactly is
geotechnical
your
survey is
question?
there, and I think that things are a part of design, geotechnical survey and those things. Even I'm not civil, but these things are a prerequisite of the design.
you're
Soil sampling, everything.
you're absolutely right, but some things are left. For example, if you want to transfer the risk to the contractor, for example, so you have specifically would be required to do a joint survey or joint testing along with the contractor. That's why he will be liable for the defect notification period or defect liability period. So he may be supposed to remove all the defects during that particular period. So even, I mean, for example, I would be giving him a design. So of course, if he is not supposed to check it, so he may claim that this was your design and I built the whole situation upon your design. So these are the various claims, I mean, disputes which we are facing right now these days. So that's why I asked the question.
So, Abid, see, we'll be talking more about it in the claim section, right? What are the reasons for claim and what is the change order? What's the difference between claim and variation and stuff like that? So, yes,
Right, fine, fine, sir.
these are part of your contract, but once design is finalized, only then you can offer GMP, right? If customer is changing a lot of things or due to design errors, things are changing, then you cannot offer GMP. You understand that?
Right, fine, fine, fine.
Okay, next is job order contracting, JOC. So this is called indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity type contract. Let me write it here. Indefinite delivery and indefinite quality. IDIQ. IDIQ type. So this type of contract delivery method is for multiple projects. When multiple projects can be completed over the life of one long-term contract. So what happened is when the owner organization, they have multiple projects, multiple similar projects, right? Or when they have high volume of construction project over the course of each year. So honor organization, what they do is they take bids from contractors at the beginning of the project rather than take a bid for each project. So let's say I have 10 projects in next 3 years. So what I will be doing, I will be taking bids at the start of all 10 projects rather than when each particular individual project is completed. So rather than running 10 different procurement cycle, I will be running just one procurement cycle. I'll be hiring one contractor and they will be executing all 10 projects one by one. Each time when I'm going to start a project, I may renegotiate the price depending upon different contextual circumstances, right? So it's a delivery method that is, that is based on a catalog of construction tasks with preset prices, which is called the construction task catalog, CTC. Construction task catalog. Each task is considered as a small project. So when you have CTC, what you do is you sign a contract with a single entity and they will be managing all of your future projects. So this is called job order contracting when you have multiple projects. You understand, everybody? Any question about it?
Sir, it's fine.
Okay. Whenever you start a new project, you conduct a meeting with the contractor, you define the scope, right? And you negotiate the price again if it is different from the agreed one, and then you move to the execution. So you're not gonna run the project again, run the contracting cycle again and again. Then we have multiple award task order contract, MATOC. So this is again IDIQ method, indefinite delivery and indefinite quality, IDIQ type contract. So what happens in MATOC is we incorporate a pool of contractor. So a pool of contractor, right, under a single master contract. So we sign a single master contract, and under that we have multiple contracts who are relevant, who have relevant skill set to your project, right? So we sign that umbrella contract, and when we have different type of work, relevant contractor will be executing that work. Let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say you are building a new housing community, right? And for that, you need a contractor for highway, you need a contractor for, let's say, plumbing works, you need a contractor for electrical work, right? You need a contractor for sewerage, you need different contractors. You need a contractor for landscaping, you need a contractor for, for different. So what you do at the start of the project, you sign a master agreement with all these potential contractors, right? And you kickstart work. And whenever you start a work, you agree on specification with the relevant contractor. So this is called multiple award task order contract. So it's a type of a contract where you have multiple tasks, means multiple projects, and you have multiple awards rather than one award. So the difference between JOC and MATOC is that in JOC we have one entity who will be doing multiple tasks. Here we have multiple entities who will be doing multiple tasks. You understand, everybody? Any
Yes, sir.
question about
But in JOC, you mentioned that the similar projects, but I think in multiple award tasks, not a similar project.
Yeah, that's why we have multiple entities. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we have one entity who will be doing that. You understand that?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Next is construction management multi-prime. Construction management multi-prime. So it's a variation of DBB type contractor. But the difference is that here owner acts as a general contractor. Owner acts as a general contractor. So we don't have any other general contractor. So remember, in DBB, we have a designer and we have a builder. Here we have a designer and the owner. Owner acts as a contractor. You understand, everybody? So this
Yes,
type of
yes, sir.
contract is good when the owner, they have expertise, who have a lot of experience managing construction projects, and they want more control, right? So this type of contract is called construction management multi-prime, right? So please remember this for your exam. Then we have public-private partnership. PPP. So public-private partnership, it's a type of contractor where there's a partnership between private and public entities. Usually public entity, they offer land and private entity, they build it, right? And ownership, initially, it is, if it is bought type, built, operate, transfer. So there is another type that is called build, operate, transfer, bought. So the difference between PPP and build, operate, transfer is that here private entity will be building it, they will be operating it, and after the agreement, they will be transferring the ownership to the initial entity. In PPP, there is no such condition of operating. You understand, everybody? PPP may be public is giving land and private entity is building, and then they will be having shared ownership. But there could be different models for that. But for BOT, they will be building, private entity will be building, they will be operating, and then they would be transferring. Okay, then we have IPD, integrated project delivery. Now, this is for shared risks and reward. Let's say we are executing a project and we say, okay, the baseline budget is $200 million. If anything we are able to save, that we will be equally shared. So for coordination, shared ownership, what we do is we go with IPD. You understand, everybody? So IPD ensures that all parties who are involved in the project, they take shared ownership. So it's a shared risk reward model. If there is saving, that would be equally shared. If there is extra cost, that will be equally shared. So all project members are selected before the design process begins and are contractually connected under one contract. So the primary goal of the IPD is to spread liability and responsibility and risks and reward among the stakeholders in a construction work, right? So what are the drawbacks of IPD? Anyone, please? What are the challenges?
Blame game also in this because the losses one will happen. So they will blame each other that due to you, this entity, this losses happen. So
Okay.
also blame game.
One is, since a lot of entities are involved, so it's difficult to reach an agreement at the start. Okay. A lot of entities are involved, so it's difficult to reach agreement at the start of the project. Okay. Right. Then we have direct labor. Direct labor. Okay, direct labor, this is done for small works, right? Small works, number one, where a lot of management and oversight is not needed, where you will be using professionals and tradesmen employed permanently or temporary by the owner organization themselves, right? So it is used where a client organizes the various operations involved in the construction and they use materials and manpower at their own disposals, right? So usually for short-term work, we do that. And the work that does not require a lot of coordination and collaboration among design and construction activities, and they will be using their in-house team, right? So for low risk work, we will be doing that. For small, let me write it here, for small and low risk works, where owner organization, they will be using material and manpower on their own disposal, right? Last one is professional construction management. Now, this is like hiring a management consultant, right? A management consultant who will be doing consultancy for you. So the owner appoints a professional construction man to manage and coordinate the design and construction phases of a project work. So hiring a consultancy firm who will act as a coordinator and supervision consultant during the execution phase of work. So in this phase, we have a designer, right? We have a contractor, and we have PCM. But PCM is not offering any GMP or anything like that, right? So it is used when there is a need for time saving and when the owner has insufficient management resources, right? So they hire an expert consultancy firm to do that. That's all with regards to various delivery methods. You'll see a lot of questions in the exam from these delivery methods. So we talk about DBB, right? Design, build, contract. Then we discussed, design, bid, build, CMAR, right? Job order contracting. Then we discussed multiple award task order contract, construction management multi-prime, right? When owners want more control, PPP, BOT, BOT. Then we have direct labor. And the last one we have is professional construction management. All right, everybody, with this, we're done with our today's agenda. We are a little bit behind than what we initially planned. I was supposed to complete types of contracts and claims today, but no problem, that we will be discussing tomorrow. So just to summarize what we covered today, we started our discussion with basic understanding of the exam, CP exam. Then we talked about contracts management, life cycle. We talked about 5 stages in detail. And after these 5 stages, we talked about delivery methods, 11 delivery methods. That's what we discussed today. And during that, we also talked about tendering strategies. So with this, we are done with our today's session. I'll see you all tomorrow and we'll continue from this, and Monday onwards, we will be doing mock tests. So before we end our today's class, if any of you have any question, feel free to ask. Anyone, please, any question?
Sir, I have something to say. Like I want to give a feedback. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. It was really a brilliant stuff, and your way of teaching really awesome. And thank you for taking us with you. I would say like this. And the second thing is that uh, 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 I'm asking about the this recorded session. Will you provide the link to us to I mean to watch this recorded video, because this is being recorded, so it will be very easy for us. I mean, like somehow if 5-10% we have missed during the discussion, so we could catch up with that. And third, uh, as you previously gave us the notes which you are, I mean, writing over here. So will you give us again this stuff? So it will be really helpful for us, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be giving you recorded lectures. I'll be giving you these notes that I have drawn. Yes, all resources are for you because the idea is to help you pass the exam. So I'll be doing everything that will be helpful to you. So yes, I'll be sharing all these with you.
Sir, thank you very much. It is really helpful and it is really brilliant and awesome. Thank you very much for everything, sir.
Thank you so much, Abid. Thank you for kind feedback. Anybody else?
Tomorrow, what
Any other questions?
session? Tomorrow, what will be the session? Uh,
Tomorrow,
tomorrow.
we will be talking about types of contracts. We will be talking about causes of claims and dispute resolution strategies and risk management. That's what we will be covering tomorrow. So that's all part of the contract section. So tomorrow we will be completing contracts because Contracts is your 50%. So in first 2 days, we will be completing 50% of the
Is the
course
most
content.
important, right?
And then in remaining 2 days, next weekend, we will be talking about remaining 50% of the contracts. Like we will be discussing stakeholders, communication in the form of interface, and we will be talking about scope and change order management. That's our plan for next weekend. And then the last class, the fifth class, we will be doing a full mock test of 120 questions. So this is how we will be concluding our course. So if I go back, so this is the strategy which is in front of you. So first 2 days, we are covering 50% of the course content. If you could see here, so our today's agenda was to complete contracts section, right? This one, and tomorrow risk management. So we have one more topic, claims, that we couldn't cover today. We will be covering tomorrow. So tomorrow is all about claims and risk management. And then 5 mock tests. Then on day 8, we will be talking about scope and change order. And on day 9, we will be talking about stakeholders engagement in the form of interface and communication. So this is how we will be completing our 100% course. Then again, there would be 5 mock tests. And on the last day, you could see we will be doing a full mock test of 120 questions, right? And whatever score you will be getting in this mock test, you can expect a similar score in the real exam. So let's say if somebody gets 70% here, so in the real exam, you will be getting 70%. What I do is if somebody gets less than that, let's say you get 50%. So what I will be doing is I'll be giving you an additional mock test of 120 questions. And then we'll see where you stand, and we'll be identifying the shortcomings, and then you will be taking the exam. So this is the overall strategy.
Sir, I want to ask the mock test for day 3, 4, 5, 6. These will be in the class, or we will attend by them ourselves, and then we will send you the score.
Now that's a very good question. So for the class, live class days, which are blue that you could see day 1, day 2, day 8, day 9, and day 15, you need to present from 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But
Okay.
apart from that, it's up to you. Whenever you could find time during the day. Let's say I'll be sending you mock test on Monday morning, right?
Okay.
And you will be having roughly 24 hours to solve those, right? So you will be
Okay.
completing that, and then next Tuesday morning, I'll be sending you another mock test. Then on Wednesday, another. So you will be having time. It's up to you whenever you want to do. You can do that during the morning, during your office time, evening, whenever you find time. So roughly,
Right.
if you see, I have allocated 1.5 hours every day, roughly 90 minutes, because 30 to 40 minutes you will be spending, roughly 50 minutes, maybe up to 50 minutes you will be spending on solving the mock test, right? And then 40 minutes to review the mock test, which is very, very important. So a tip for all of you is when you complete a mock test, make sure you do the analysis. You should be understanding why you're getting a particular question wrong, right? Go back, read the explanation, try to understand, connect with the reading or the learnings that we are having, and make sure even if you're getting something wrong, you're understanding why. Because that's where you'll be actually learning. That's where you will be improving your score. So a lot of students, what mistake they make is they complete the test, but they do not review it. Review is mandatory, right? So 50 minutes for the test to do and 40 minutes for the analysis. That's why you could see every day we have roughly 1.5 hours, right? So this is the strategy that you will be following for your exam.
Good. Sounds good.
Sir, I need to ask one question. If you compare PMI-CP with the PMI-PMP, so is it relatively tough or tough as compared to PMP? Because
So if
normal, for example, let's say for example, if I compare the CP with the PMP certification, so what's your opinion about it? I mean, PMP stuff or CP stuff are both are of the same? Because normally we take 180 question in PMP in 3 hour and 50 minutes. So the time here in CP, I think, is the same, but the question are less, like 120
yeah.
question.
Yeah. So if the difficulty level of PMP is at 100, right? The difficulty level of CP is at 200,
Oh, great.
right?
Yes, sir.
So this exam would be highly challenging as compared to the PMP exam. If you see, we started our discussion with somewhere here, why this certification is difficult. You'll see lengthy statements in the exam, right? Questions would test your theoretical knowledge. Some memorization is also needed, and there is no material to study. For PMP, you have plenty of material, books and webinars and questions and instructors and everything. But for CP, there are only few. That's why this exam at this point in time is really, really challenging. And every other student that I see has either failed once or twice, right? So that's why I
Okay, sir.
strongly recommend to all students, go for instructor-led trainings, go to PMI authorized instructor. Don't just rely to 4 PMI CP modules, because in addition to those modules, you need to solve the mock test. So mock test is the real power. And I could have asked you, okay, please go and watch those self-paced recordings and then do the mock test. But I'm explaining each and everything here, and you have seen the difference, how these live classes are different from those self-paced courses. I'm not saying those self-paced courses are not good, but in live classes, you have an opportunity to see clarity, to ask questions the way you all were asking throughout our day, right? So that's the benefit of live classes. So take instructor-led live classes, do the mock test, and if you get required result, this one like 70% in the mock test, then you can go and take your exam. So that's why
Uh,
you follow this rigorous 15-day strategy.
Sir, basically, I asked this question because the way you were explaining the things, it seems simple to me. I don't understand. I mean, initially, 2 hours passed, and checked the clock. I said, "Oh, 2 hours passed. That's really amazing." And I was thinking just half an hour has been passed. So the way you are explaining it seems very, simple to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, but we'll see that when you will be doing the mock test, right?
Okay,
Uh,
sir, okay,
then
sir.
I'll see what's your level of understanding. And I'm sure if you read the content, if you understand these things, I'm sure you all are gonna pass the exam. So just follow the strategy, keep me updated, stay in touch, don't hesitate to ask questions. So inshallah, we're gonna pass the exam.
Inshallah, inshallah.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the engagement and all the questions that you asked. This is what I needed, like interactive sessions, and you all have made that possible. Thank you so much. And one thing that you can do is please go through that reading. I request everybody, please complete that reading. At least complete the contract section, because tomorrow we're going to complete the entire contract section. In tomorrow's section, we'll be talking a lot about risk section, so please complete that as well. Risk section would be similar to PMP. Those who have done PMP, they might not be worried about risk section. They should be worried about the contract, specifically contract sections. So please pay attention to this contract section. Make sure you read that, at least read what we have covered, right? So that you're ready to take the mock
Okay,
test
sir.
that we will be doing from Monday to Friday. Thank you so much, everybody. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
So nice of
thank
you.
you
Thank
for
Good night.
you. So nice of you. Grateful.
maybe the notes could be shared.
Yeah, I'll be sharing everything, Julian. I'll be sharing everything.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Take
Thank you.
care. Have
Thank
a
you, sir.
nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.